Adults in anime are something you see every now and then, either in positions of power over the main characters of the show, or as the butt of the joke like the eponymous Christmas cake, who for those of you who don't know is a single woman over the age of 25. Rarely, shows give us actual adult main characters, but this season we've got at least two that I'm watching, and both of them are tremendous in their own way. I'm talking about Imouto sae Ireba Ii and Net-juu no Susume, two comedy anime that show off how adult main characters make things that much better compared to your standard high school aged fare. To start off, it is very possible that I may be biased in my wish to see more adult main characters in shows, since I myself am an adult, at least in age, which is much the same case with Moriko in Net-juu no Susume, a convenient segue to get right into the middle of things. This is a show about a self-proclaimed elite NEET who quit her job over extreme stress and decided to play MMOs and have fun with her life instead. Moriko is an extremely relatable main character for me, because the desire to stay home and play video games instead of dealing with work is a conflict I find myself very familiar with, which is why I sometimes take my Switch to work, but don't let anybody know that. Not only is this new direction in life a result of the overwork and distrust of human decency that people my age deal with constantly, but Moriko's actions also serve to connect younger anime fans with her as well, only replacing work life with school life. Blended together, the desires many adults have to return to the carefree days of youth when they had the time to play video games all day is a heady one. But in this case, it's even better than back then, because one of the limits of childhood is gone in Moriko's case. She isn't as limited in what she can afford for what she likes. And to a much greater extent, Yuta is the same way, as he demonstrated with the gacha in episode 4. Perhaps it's this point which draws me to these types of anime, where an adult is living the way I wish I could. An example of the escapism that I can only dream of. With younger people being drawn to the idea of freedom, both monetarily and personally, I think Net-juu no Susume hits the sweet spot of attracting fans of all ages. It also helps that the main character is a cute girl, who looks fit and beautiful despite her months of gaming, which, while unrealistic in some cases given we don't see her working out or eating right, it's at least passably acceptable considering it hasn't been too long since she quit her job in episode 1 to play MMOs. Speaking of, the MMO elements that make up half the episodes are actually pretty on point for a romantic comedy series, with a variety of in-game ideas like emotes or lack of player collision played for amusing jokes, especially with the cutouts to the characters performing them. Of course, the most important play on what MMOs offer is the concept of playing the opposite gender, the conceit that is used to great effect without overstaying its welcome, considering what happens at the end of episode 4. Whereas most anime would pad this misunderstanding out for all it's worth and not even try to delve into the possibilities an actual mind would come up with when confronted with so many uncommon amounts of conveniences, Net-juu no Susume actually lets the adult main characters have the problem-solving skills of your average high school student, which I feel is pretty apt to compare down a line of stupidity with most anime, with high schoolers having the equivalent of kindergartners' education when it comes to figuring shit out. Digression aside, this is only the start of understanding who and what is going on, and the anime may well continue to trend toward the norm of sweeping everything up under the rug. But considering the anime is unfortunately only 10 episodes long, I have a feeling that at least half of it will have the two main characters interacting in real life with full knowledge of their in-game avatars, or at least I hope that's the case. Of course, avatars aren't limited to just games in this video, and boy does Imouto sae Ireba Ii start out with quite the humdinger of a self-insert character with its eye-rolling opening sequence. Often pointed out as the normie barrier to those seeking the promised land that lies beyond, this anime's grotesquely animated intro, reminiscent of late 90s hentai, is something that almost made me immediately close out in disgust. However, the sheer audacity and insanity of the scene tipped me off that perhaps something was off, and when the panty eating was done, I finally glimpsed the averagely animated real show that lay beneath this layer of filth. Luckily, the humor took a sharp turn away from those first harrowing few minutes, and another sex jokes the anime revealed itself, following pretty well in the footsteps of Sedokai Quindomo, and most definitely acquitting itself well against the other potential taker of SYD's spiritual successor, My Girlfriend is a Faithful Virgin Bitch, which is so boring and dry, ugh. Similarly to SYD though, Imouto sae is separated into small segments devoted almost entirely either to a sex joke or to a joke about the main character's obsession with little sisters, despite not having one himself. Or does he? Surrounding these jokes is the conceit that nearly every one of the characters in the show are in or related to the novel writing sphere, which is how most of the characters know each other and meet up to commiserate over. One of the few exceptions to this is the older of two love interests for the main character Itsuki, Miyako, a girl who went to college with Itsuki before he decided to make the incredibly bold and well-advised move of quitting school to become a full-time author. Luckily, he had the skill to back it up, but that doesn't really work out for most people, so I wouldn't use this as an example. But to get back to Miyako, this character offers a suitable personality and window through which non-authors can look into the show's emphasis on each character's writing eccentricities. Miyako often plays the straight man in scenes she's involved in, though she's not above getting into the dirt if it helps her friends, which, while it can lead to some blatantly fan service moments for those who require it, is a good character trait to have, especially when you want the audience to actually care about one of the secondary characters. The other love interest, Neyuta, is basically the grown-up version of Megumi from Eromanga Sensei, everyone's favorite. Obsession with dicks intact in her older age, and dyed silver hair that somehow comes to life like cat ears. In other words, best girl. While she's not old enough to drink, the anime makes it clear she's not underage, so fantasize and Rule 34 her to your heart's content, viewers, because you won't have the police called on you this time, unless you do something truly fucked up. Which I wouldn't put past you, honestly. Despite the comedy though, the show can get unexpectedly serious when it comes to the deeper side of the memories and emotions these characters have, giving glimpses of times when they weren't their usual wisecracking selves. It's refreshing to have these kind of moments, because it makes these characters more adults with complicated lives despite their lackadaisical exteriors, and therefore more character-driven than anything we got with SYD. This thin veneer of comedy that masks sadness within is a perfect cornerstone on the adults in anime points I've been making, because I feel it gets so much worse once you finish school and become another cog in the machine. The characters in these two anime are people more than their archetypes, and I would say that perhaps the wealth of years under their belt that high school life anime characters just don't have makes a big difference in how the characters are seen by the viewer, at least from my perspective as an adult around the same age. I would be very curious actually to know how you young people that keep making a racket on my lawn think about this point, because like I said earlier, I may well be biased in thinking like this. While one of these shows is more comedy and the other is a romantic comedy, I still feel these two are great examples of adults in anime. And I'd even put them on par with Log Horizon in that regard, because surprise surprise, the characters in that show were just as much adults as the characters in these shows. I'm sure there's many other anime that have adults in them that I love and am forgetting, like Psycho-Pass for instance, and I'm equally sure that there are anime out there that are better than any of the ones I just listed, such as my personal perfection incarnate anime, Full Metal Alchemist. But I think as I've grown, I just want more anime with characters my age, because I am tired of seeing high school over and over again. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button for more from me, that notification bell for up-to-the-minute updates, and insult me live on Twitter for direct conversation. And remember, always enjoy the way you watch anime, because as long as you're having fun, that's all that really matters. I'll see you next time.